Dancer in the Dark. I was pleasantly surprised by this. It's one of the most unique films I've seen in a while. The cinematography in this movie gives it a very distinct feel, almost as though it's a home video, which makes it feel all the more realistic. The actors all deliver very good performances, especially Bjork, who I didn't even think would be all that good, but she was great. I did think the regular musical numbers, although they certainly contributed to the film's style, were too much of a detraction from the momentum of the story. They just really halt the otherwise very well paced story. What strikes me the most though is how it kind of tries to make a dire situation feel positive, kind of like Life is Beautiful, if you saw that movie. I recommend Dancer in the Dark. It's a different kind of movie, but a very effective one. Lars von Trier should be commended for his work. I'll give it an 8 out of 10. Marley and Me. I didn't think too much of this movie, but I did overall enjoy it. I usually can't enjoy Owen Wilson in movies, but I thought he was okay in this one. Not great, just okay. In fact, none of the actors really strike me as anything special. What I admire about these kinds of movies is knowing the effort that has to be put into training the animals. Not many people appreciate it, but I think it's an important thing to recognize. The script is very sappy a lot of the time, but engaging nonetheless. I don't want to spoil it, but I think the ending was pretty sad, and that alone should make the movie worthwhile. This isn't a great movie particularly, but it's a nice watch. I give Marley and Me a 7 out of 10. Borat. This is not the first time I've seen this, but I have always liked it, so I gave it another rewatch. What can really be said about this that hasn't already been said? It's incredibly crude, but also hilarious. I really love the mockumentary style of filmmaking that's been implemented here, making Borat seem like he's a real guy. I really love how this movie makes fun of cultural differences, and how it exaggerates aspects of it to the point of being absolutely ludicrous. Sacha Baron Cohen delivers an excellent performance as Borat, a truly funny character. He's easily the best thing about this movie. You know what? I really want to meet someone from Kazakhstan and ask them what they think of this movie. It'd be really interesting. I haven't seen Bruno or Ali G into House yet, but I think I could definitely say that this is the best of Sacha Baron Cohen's characters put to the big screen. I'd give Borat an 8 out of 10. After Hours. Given this is a Scorsese flick, I had very high expectations, and he has proven himself to be amazing once again. It really puts you in the shoes of the main character, which is awesome, and you can sympathize with his struggles. What I also think is great is, despite it having a fair bit of comedy, it really is an intense and sometimes frightening movie. The feel of New York City at night just makes you think twice about going out. Another really notable thing is the way that the story's many plots kinda intertwine with one another. I don't want to spoil anything, but watch the movie and you'll know what I'm talking about. After Hours is no Taxi Driver, but it captures the feeling of New York in a similar but more light-hearted way. I'll give it a 9 out of 10. Prometheus. I was pretty excited for this one, and it met my expectations. I really liked how this movie intends to stand on its own, as opposed to link too closely with the Alien franchise. I love the imagination put into this planet and the aliens on it, and I thought the performances by the actors were all very good, especially Michael Fassbender as the robot David. I thought he was such an excellent character and probably my favourite in the movie. I thought Noomi Rapace also delivered a very strong performance. Prometheus had a very good balance of genres. It's got some great action and science fiction in there, but I think it works best as a disturbing horror film. There are some really intense scenes, such as the surgery scene, which I think is going to be remembered in the long term. The story is focused on discovering the origins of the human species, and I thought this was kind of a slap in the face. It's as though the writers knew nothing about human evolution, or just chose to throw that knowledge away just to write the screenplay. Overall though, despite the occasional flaw, Prometheus is a very good modern science fiction film that I'd say demands DVD ownership. Go see it on the big screen. I'd give it an 8 out of 10. The Passion of the Christ. I put off watching this film for a while, thinking I wouldn't like it, but I was in the mood, so I gave it a chance and I was surprisingly moved by it. As gruesome as this movie is, I think it's very beautiful. It's beautifully shot, it has a wonderful use of music, and the overall mood of the film really just engages you, particularly in moments where there's no dialogue. I just felt that the film could really speak in sort of a sense. You don't have to be religious at all to find something enjoyable in this film. I'm an atheist and I don't think I've ever given a damn more about Jesus Christ before in my life. I think this was the perfect way to bring this story to the screen. Just look at it as a piece of fiction and art, and you should be able to find something admirable. Just be aware that the crucifixion scenes, among others, are extremely violent. I'll give The Passion of the Christ a 7.5 out of 10. Waterworld. This is one of those movies that most people you talk to seem to hate, and I'm probably going to get a lot of shit for this, but I actually really enjoyed it. I'm a fan of Mad Max, and I thought Waterworld was just like Mad Max, only at sea. The character development isn't good, and there are a fair few plot holes, but as a dystopian science fiction flick, I was able to overlook them and just see a fun little adventure in it. Kevin Costner was enjoyable, as was Dennis Hopper as the villain, and I like the imagination put into creating this fictional world. Not a smart film by any means, but good fun, so I think that you should approach it with an open mind. I would give Waterworld an 8 out of 10. Almost Famous. I was in an extremely good mood when watching this, so maybe that affected my opinion, but I thought that this movie was excellent. Truly one of the definitive rock and roll movies, and probably one of the best movies I've seen when it comes to music. This movie does a fantastic job at capturing the feel of the 1970s, showing off what a unique time it was for the rock music scene, but at the same time it also explores some of the lesser good things that came out of it. You really do connect with the main character pretty well, feeling as though you are him, watching all these events unfold. In general, I think that what this movie does best is maintain the good rock and roll spirit, and isn't that what any good movie about such a thing should do? Of course. I recommend this movie very highly. I would probably give Almost Famous a 9 out of 10. Battleship Potemkin. This is regarded as one of the most important films in the history of cinema. It's admirable in 3 senses. The first is that it was ahead of its time and is influential. The second is that it's very entertaining, even to this day. And the third is that you could view it as either propaganda or a real story of freedom. The movie was planned by the Communist Party of the Soviet Union to coincide with the anniversary of the unsuccessful revolution of 1905. It has a very strong theme of revolution and standing up to the oppressors, which are communicated in a very straightforward manner. For a silent film, I really loved the use of music as well. There's also some really intense scenes, notably the massacre sequence. You don't have to sympathize with the Bolsheviks to enjoy this movie because it doesn't really mention them. All it really says is that the Tsars were oppressive and the people were right to stand up to them. A film enthusiast should definitely watch this for the historical value alone, but I do think it still works as a very good piece of entertainment. I give Battleship Potemkin an 8.5 out of 10. A Bronx Tale. I thought this movie was absolutely fantastic. It's very much a coming-of-age movie mixed with a mob movie, and they've exceeded my expectations in both of those areas. The main character's relationships with his father and the local mob boss are both very well fleshed out. There's a lot of important family-related messages in the film that apply to not only the kids, but the parents as well. Robert De Niro plays the father character, and he does an excellent job, as you would naturally expect from him, and the rest of the cast are awesome as well. The ending was excellent, and the way in which the film looks at all these events from the point of view of a young man was done well, making the viewers feel involved and have sort of a personal experience with the viewing. This is an excellent movie, trust me on that. I'll give A Bronx Tale a 9 out of 10, a must-own film for sure. That's all from me today, guys. I really do hope you liked my video as much as I liked the movies in it. Goodbye.